Grace from NFP here, and I am connecting community with Shaye Connell from LivingWorks. Hi Shayne, how are you?
Hi Grace, I'm well. Coming at you live from my home office, like just about everyone else, I think.
Yes, absolutely. I'm in my backyard, so that works. So my question to you is, how has your organisation changed around COVID-19?
Look, COVID's had a big impact on LivingWorks because, as you know, we do suicide prevention skills training throughout the community and throughout the country, which are all face-to-face workshops. So literally, we've gone from dozens of workshops around the country every day with trainers training universities and organisations and schools and hospitals to literally coming to a full stop. So for us, it's meant that we're, I guess, first of all, concerned about the community and the space that we do, being an organisation that works in mental health and suicide prevention. But internally, looking at a whole group of independent contractors and trainers out there who are doing very well and doing great work, all of a sudden being without income. So our first thought has been for them and setting up structures and ways to support them to stay connected to us, so that when we do come out the other end, that there is employment and that people can continue on. And then, of course, our core business being to provide suicide safety skills for people and networks of safety around those that are vulnerable. How do we make sure that people still have access to that knowledge and training in a new way of working, which is obviously all online now. So luckily, we've been set up for that for a little while. We haven't had to scramble as much as others because we do have online options. But yeah, it's been an incredibly challenging time.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So what have you learned or are learning through this process?
Well, the first thing I'm learning is how to homeschool, to be honest. So I've got 3 daughters under the age of 8 who are all with us now at home. My wife works for the federal government and is considered an essential service because she's part of a coronavirus response team. And so she's often having to go into work. So I'm still running an organisation and have staff to support, and also trying to make sure that I get my lessons in place with Zoom and things. So I feel for all parents out there that aren't used to doing that at home, because that's what I'm learning. And I mean, I've got 2 6-year-old twins who are on Zoom every day with class. They're working through the online learning modules, and it's incredible to see how good they are at the technology, which is kind of a silver lining, I guess, out of all this, where we try to find those little pieces of value. In terms of what we're learning as an organisation in suicide prevention, there's a few things we're learning pretty quickly, which is that people are very keen to help others right now. So we're getting flooded with requests for people to learn skills online to do training, and there seems to be a lot of concern out there. Already there was an issue in Australia with mental ill health and suicide rates and concerns with people who were in crisis. You layer on top of that the kind of social isolation and formal lockouts and things to those, which could do one of 2 things. Sometimes it can galvanise communities, and we've seen great examples of that around here. We've got community Facebook pages popping up and people doing things like putting teddy bears in windows to help kids do bear hunts in the suburb and dropping toilet paper off and stuff. And then on the flip side, it can really exacerbate some problems for people that they have. So trying to balance that is really interesting in terms of people's perceptions of what is happening right now and how you reframe that and how you support people to stay well mentally.
Today, have you found any good programs or resources that you are using that are helping you at the moment?
We've had a really good one for online learning, which can help a lot of meetings. Whether it's a charity or a community organisation that needs to meet with folks that does the sort of work that we do. So, for instance, with Zoom teleconferencing, a little functionality that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of, but we're just starting to use really well is, we might have a workshop with 10 or 20 people on a webinar, talking about some fairly, emotional issues that can really trigger some people. So having the functionality to then be able to break off and have a facilitator or a staff member have an individual conversation with someone who might need to connect and have something a bit deeper in terms of their engagement, and then join the webinar back, is really good. It's a long way from just inviting people through an email to call a crisis line or get in touch with an online counsellor. Being able to physically direct people and then link physically to an online counselling service so that there's warm handover all the way. It's probably very specific for our industry, but it's a really, really good tool for us. So that's one of the resources we've used. Of course,
That's
a lot of the online.
That room in Zoom.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, the Zoom room is one. And I think the online counselling services in our space as well are really needed now more than ever. Thank goodness they're there. eHeadspace, Kids Helpline, Online Work and Lifeline, online counselling are things that we're directing people more and more because they're engaging with us through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or something. We're able to quickly send through a link so that they can get access. We know, or we're learning that if people are online engaging with us, they're less likely to then hang up on that and then pick up a phone and start talking in person. People have often favoured platforms, they want to engage, and so we need to engage through those same platforms.
So what have you found about working from home, and what have you found that to make it effective and more efficient and productive?
Yeah, it's a good question. What we've found to make it more productive is going easier on ourselves as a team. So we have, a big group of staff and trainers around the country that are now meeting on Zoom and webinar like this. And trying to do that formally is hard when you've got, dogs and cats and kids and things in. And so we've had a really simple rule, which is that we don't apologise for any interruptions that happen. So I think that's part of the real stress of working from home, is thinking that you've got to be as productive as you would be in office. And look, from my point of view, I just can't be. It's that famous BBC viral clip of the guy who was doing the interview, and his child comes in and then he tries to, I don't know if it was a mother or the nanny, someone was trying to kind of discreetly pull out of the picture, and it kind of made it worse, right? And funny at the same time. So we've set up little things like we won't apologise if a child wants to come in and look and watch, a 30-person staff meeting. It's okay, let them, because after a while the novelty wears off and they'll go and entertain themselves. But some of the stresses I think around working from home are the expectations that we set on ourselves. And I really love, there was a communication sent from our school for our children from the teachers, which was, please don't try to be the teacher, because you're not. And, we didn't have 6 months to prepare for this. We had days, maybe a week. So, take the pressure off the fact that you need to do 8 hours worth of schooling a day and homework on top of that and those things. That's what was helping us, just to take the pressure off a bit. There's enough pressure at the moment.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So what have you found is a blessing that's come from this?
A blessing? Well, there's a lot of blessings. You and I were just talking about one earlier, which is around connecting with family again and connecting with some of the simple things. I've got to tell you, just being able to walk down to the park and back, the daily exercise with the people we live with, has taken on a whole new importance in our household. And some of the simple things of just connecting. When family is here, when my wife's able to work from home, we spend more time during the day than we ever would normally, even though it's only an extra couple of hours. So that's a blessing. I think spending more time with the kids, of course, is a blessing, even though sometimes it's a distraction or difficult. In terms of the work, what I really love about seeing organisations respond to this coronavirus is how quickly people are able to adapt. And so we've seen an online development. We have a program coming out called LivingWorks Faith, which is a faith-based training program for faith leaders, chaplains, pastors, others, to learn how to manage and work with suicide if it happens within their community. And being able to accelerate the development of that, because we need to get it out, we need to get it online. Those kind of programs or things that organisations may have spent 12 months on can now really get in, and you realise actually you can do it in a few weeks with some of the barriers. So maybe I also love the idea that there's people who are working from home now who have probably been told by their organisation for a long time that you can't possibly do your work from home, you need to come to the office. Maybe that's being challenged as well.
I think we're going to find a new way in which we do things. It's really, I think there's the community and connection, but I think it's a great example of being able to connect still. But I was talking to someone else before about being more productive because you don't have as much distraction around you. So it's that is an interesting thing. So do you have any advice for charities or not-for-profits around what's going on?
Yeah, I guess one of the things that I wonder about this whole pandemic for charities and not-for-profits is, does it give us an opportunity to stop and reflect on the core values and the core vision that we have? I know, certainly in my experience working with charity, there's this opportunity for us to continue to add and spread and kind of grow the breadth of our offering. because we need to offer more, but sometimes it's also because we need to continually grow and add and grow our fundraising and our revenue streams, for instance. So I think this might be an opportunity for us to avoid duplication, for us to focus and get really clear on the things that we want to do and do well, and in some way stay in our lane around that, and be okay that if our remit, if our charity vision is to provide people with food or provide shelter or to cure cancer or to transport people to hospital or whatever it is, now can we do one thing, do really well and be proud of that, and work together as a community? If the charitable sector can't work together at a time like this, then we never will. So now's the time for us to maybe put down some of those competitive features.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Thanks so much, Shayne, for coming. This is Connecting Communities. I will put all of Shayne's details and all the links in regards to the LivingWorks services and resources available in the thing below. That thing there.
That thing.
Thanks so much, Shayne.
Thanks, Grace.
Awesome.